This is a Weed Eater Featherlite trimmer. This is a steel FS56RC trimmer, not a weed eater. The core patent has expired, so other companies can make a string trimmer with no patent royalty. However, Weed Eater is a brand. They're a name, so they can't call their machine weed eaters. They can call them trimmers or weed whackers. Although one may say, "Hey Al, how much do you want for that weed eater?" Or "My weed eater won't start." Well, take that steel home and bring me the weed eater. This, on the other hand, is a weed eater. A Weed Eater branded trimmer. Yes, Weed Eater is a brand. In fact, the first brand. Founded by the inventor of the grass trimmer, George Ballas, in 1971. George took a popcorn can and attached fishing line pieces to it, then attached that to an edger, and the grass trimmer was born. He couldn't find too many investors in his idea, so he founded Weed Eater, marketed and manufactured his own invention, which grew very quickly. And in fact, 1978, George Ballas sold Weed Eater to Emerson for an estimated $80 million. Later, Weed Eater was merged with Poland under the Electrolux-owned Husqvarna brand. Husqvarna pretty much discontinued the brand, but brought the name back a few years ago to slap it on a line of battery-operated trimmers and blowers. This Weed Eater was manufactured in 1999. It's been sitting in a dry shed for probably more than 10 years. It's not missing any parts or has any visible damage I can see. The first thing I want to do with a machine like this that's been sitting for many years is lubricate the engine mechanics. When I pulled on the rope to make sure the engine wasn't seized or broken, I didn't yank it hard. I just gently pulled on the rope to see if the engine rotated. This is a 3/4 socket. I'm going to remove this plug, which is barely even in there. That's pretty well carboned up. This is PB Blaster. I'm going to lubricate the mechanics. And what I'll do is work it in with the pull rope. Engine actually feels pretty smooth. Next, I'll clean this plug off and see if we have any spark after that. Looks a lot better. That cherry is popped. Considering this unit's 27 years old at this point, probably time for a new carburetor. I'm going to remove this air box cover here. 2 Phillips head screws here. Let's inspect this air box. This air filter's surprisingly clean for a weed eater that's been sitting for a good bit. All of this is surprisingly clean. I'm going to hook up a spark tester and see if we got spark. This is a spark tester. You can get one of these at your nearest NAPA auto parts store. I will put this in line with my plug. If there is spark, a bulb will light up with the pulse. And there is indeed spark. I'm going to spray some of this Max Premium starter fluid into the intake and see if I can get the engine to fire off. Way too much. Perfect. It wants to fire. Well, we just need to figure out a way to get it a steady fuel supply. These are HIPA carburetor kits for these Weed Eater Featherlite units. And they come with pretty much anything you need to get one of these running again. Now there's two different kinds of carburetors for this unit, so don't be an idiot like me and order the wrong one. Now if you can see the difference here, one has the choke on it and one doesn't. On my unit here, the choke is on this plate instead of the carburetor itself. So this is what the carburetor looks like without the choke. That's the one I'm going to be putting on this one. So this HIPA kit's going to include our new carburetor, both sizes of the fuel line that I'm sure we're going to need to replace. Also comes with a spark plug, a spare primer bulb, a new fuel filter, and new gasket. Get yours now, high quality parts at a low price. HIPAStore.com, HIPA on eBay and Amazon. This is a T25 Torx driver. It's really not that dirty. Not as bad as I thought it might be. Get these fuel lines pulled off here. One crusty carburetor. I've blocked off this intake. I'm going to blow some of this debris out of here, like that string right there, spider webs. Let's take a look in the fuel tank. It's pretty dry in there. those fuel lines need to be changed. They're pretty stiff. With a pair of needle nose pliers, I'll fish out the fuel filter if I can. I tell you, this fuel line's just hard and stiff, almost like it's baked into place. They're like hard French fries at the bottom of the fryer. Baked. Baked. Hard as a rock. This will probably fall out inside the tank. It's sort of a connector for your purge line, sort of a stopper you might say, or seal for the purge line coming in. This smaller pickup line is going to go in this hole. The bigger return line is going to go in this hole. I'm going to cut as much of an angle as I can here to help me get the line into the tank. Now I should be able to reach in there with a pair of needle nose pliers and pull the end of the line through. Now I'll trim the line off even and install my fuel pickup. It's a little hard to get on there, but you can get it. You want to make sure you got enough of your line pulled so that this can move freely in your tank. Now I'll do the same with the bigger fuel line, just cut a good angle on it. Now I'll send that through the remaining slot here. I'll reach in with my needle nose pliers and grab it. This is the fuel tank fitting, or sometimes it's called a vent fitting. This connects the return line directly to the fuel tank. I'll cut my line off even here. This is just how I do them. I go ahead and connect the stem on one side. Then I'm going to cut off about 2 inches or so length. And then connect it to the other side. Now I'll just pull that back up through there until it stops. I think I'm actually going to cut that back just a little bit more. Okay, my new fuel lines are installed in the gas tank. The smaller size or pickup side of the system will connect to the bottom stem. The larger return line will connect to the top stem near the primer bulb. I've cleaned up the air filter box. I'm going to make sure this screw goes through the choke control. Then I'll get the right hex screw in. Now I can join the carburetor with the air box. Going to top it all off with our new gasket. Reconnect the throttle control cable. I'm going to tighten down these hex screws nice and firm. Make sure your choke moves freely and check the throttle cable operation. Both of mine are very nice indeed. Going back with the air filter element now. The air filter cover with its two Phillips head screws. That looks as good as Gina. Gina! Looking good. Brand new HIPA carburetor. Fuel lines and fuel filter. Also wiped and blew off some of the years of dust and debris on this thing. I could spend 2 days cleaning it or just cut some weeds. Throttle control working great. I got a good feeling this 1999 Weed Eater is not quite ready for the landfill yet. 27 years on a Weed Eater. What's that in human years? Put your guess in the comments section. This is a 40-to-1 mix of pure gasoline and oil called Tru-Fuel. This is all I use in my two-stroke engines. It's a consistent mix that gives all two-stroke engines more power, reliable cold starts and runs. Using Tru-Fuel will give you far less problems with your fuel system, and when time is money, you need your machine to start and run. Tru-Fuel always on the shelf at your local NAPA Auto Parts store. The starting procedure is 6 pumps on the primer bulb and full choke, full throttle. I'm going to go a little more than that so I can get fuel through a dry system here. Looking good. The start procedure is 6 pumps on the primer bulb and full choke and throttle. When the unit barks, you want to go to half choke, full throttle, and start again. Let it run about 10 seconds or so on half choke, then turn the choke off. You will need this single D adjustment tool to set the L screw on the carburetor. The H or high setting is not present on these carburetors thanks to the EPA, that's factory set. If I need to adjust the idle speed after I find the carburetor's happy place, there's a Phillips head screw on top here to increase or decrease the idle speed run. I'd say that's not too bad for an engine that has been dormant for more than 10 years. The head is spinning and so far everything sounds good. These units don't have a clutch on them, so if the engine is spinning, so is the trimmer head. That HIPA carburetor and new fuel lines brought this Weed Eater, yes Weed Eater, back to life. I've got other stuff to work on and there are no weeds to cut out here right now, so I will come back to this unit later next week. It's about a week later and we've had some rain. There's some weeds waiting to be cut down if this Weed Eater wants to run. I have refueled it with fresh Tru-Fuel 40-1. My final set on the carburetor was 1 1/3 turns counterclockwise, and I turned the idle screw about a turn counterclockwise, and I think it's dialed in. Let's do a second cold start. I'll go through the starting procedure. Wow, that's great. When it'll do a second cold start over a week later, it's good to go. I have a few weeds for this Weed Eater waiting outside. It's running and cutting like it should, no complaints here. That new HIPA carburetor and fuel lines and a little run time have brought this machine back to life again after probably 10 or 12 years sitting in a barn. The original brand, the only machine worthy to be called Weed Eater. I can't tell you to snatch one of these up at a yard sale unless you just like the nostalgia of having the first brand of trimmer marketed. They do actually cut and do the job for light duty trim of a small city yard or rental property and work pretty well. It's certainly no brush cutter or commercial use trimmer by any means. I'm going to hang on to this one just to have it and run it every now and then around the house. It's a good conversation piece and string trimmer history. After all, it started with the Weed Eater and George Ballas in 1971 and his string woven popcorn can refined into this usable tool to groom our yards easily. Let me and others know if you still run one of these original Weed Eater branded trimmers and what you think about them in the comments section. Special thanks to HIPAStore.com. I will leave a link to this kit for sale in the HIPA store for a variety of parts to get your machine running fast, easily, and economically. Guaranteed parts and friendly customer service from HIPAStore.com, HIPA on Amazon and eBay. I am Big Al Cox. Thank you for watching. Please like the video if you did. There's also a subscription option if you would like to keep up with the latest videos from this channel, keeping and saving things from the landfill. Until the next time, many blessings from my shop to yours.